Hey, welcome to BS and Viewpoints. I'm Cuddy Costa with my co-host Winston Harris.
How's it going, everybody?
It's going great. Winston, you fired. you can get up and leave right now. You missed last week. You called in sick. Ain't no days off. No days off.
Well, let me cough on you real quick and let's find out.
No, never mind. I'm glad to see you feeling better, brother. How's it been?
It's been cool.
It's been
Slow.
tough. We less than a week away from the election. How do you feel?
I'm glad it's going to be over. I've been seeing way too many commercials.
Yeah, I've been seeing commercials about districts I ain't never lived in. I saw one yesterday. I got an advertisement for Jamie Harris. Good big shout out to him in South Carolina. Was running against Lindsey Graham. They sent me some asking for some money. I said, I don't even live in South Carolina. But I understand what the premise was. The premise was, you're trying to get him out of, you're trying to get Lindsey Graham out of Senate. So, they're trying to have they're trying to get the GOP to not have the majority. Because you seen what they did last second. They got Barrett through.
Yeah, but something's going to happen either because she's not qualified to be a justice.
She got voted in, so she is qualified.
They showed her they showed her qualifications. She really ain't got none.
She's already been confirmed. It's over.
Yeah.
Nothing you can do.
They can impeach her,
Lifetime.
or they can impeach her, or they can add more justices. That's the route they're trying to go. I think she should be. Nothing against her, but I think she should be impeached. She got in on some BS that she's not qualified to be a justice.
Usually, when somebody say nothing against you, they have something against you. When somebody say no offense, they about to do something that's offensive.
That is
somebody
true.
Say, don't take this the wrong way. You should probably take it the wrong way.
Okay, then. Take this the wrong way. Take the offense.
You don't think she qualified?
No, she doesn't. She doesn't have the time in that the other justices have. She doesn't have the experience that other justices have. I can't do it. You can't get. Come on, you can't be the general manager of a restaurant with only 1 year as a cook. I'm just saying.
If you own it, you can.
No, you can't because you're gonna fail. You gonna fail.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. So, have you voted yet?
Of course I did. I had to.
Everybody ain't voted yet. I voted. I had to wait like an hour. Lucas County Board of Elections. They had something. I had to wait. It opened up at 8. I got there like 7:30. There's probably like maybe 70, 80 people in front of me. Everybody's observing the distance. We all had masks. I chose not to go the route of the absentee ballot for the simple fact is due to the post office. I literally wanted to cast my vote. I did wear gloves. I did have on my mask. I hand sanitized afterwards. It's been about a week and a half, and I'm still feeling good. I use hand sanitizer on the way in, hand sanitizer on the way out. That's about all you can do.
Yeah. And people who got the absentee ballot and are talking about dropping it off, make sure you drop it off at the Board of Elections.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I know in California, the Republicans put up a whole bunch of fake ballot drop boxes, trying to get people to lose their vote. So I'm just pay attention.
Yeah.
If it ain't outside of the Board of Elections or an actual polling place, don't put your ballot in.
Man, that's sad. The gamesmanship. I mean, it is terrible. Like I've been noticing, like the Supreme Court voted was 5-3 as far as Wisconsin, meaning if you were to drop your ballot in on November 3rd, on November 3rd, if you drop your ballot in on November 3rd, but it doesn't get there to like the 6th, they're not going to count it. Because even though it says November 3rd, it needed to be there by November 3rd. And with the postal system, how it's being run now, you definitely need to take it to a ballot box. I mean, some states don't have, I want to say Missouri's one of them, don't have early voting. We have it in Ohio. A lot of states have it. But some still don't have it. So, you got to see what turnout's going to be like.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. And this is an article that you sent me that we're going to delve into. It's going to be one of our topics today on there. What happens if Donald Trump doesn't win? What do you think is going to happen?
It's going to be a party in the streets, people. Party in the streets.
I think it's going to be twofold. It's going to be a party in the streets for some, but for others, it is definitely going to be almost anarchy because you can see he riles up the militias. He was in Michigan a few days ago, and he's chanting, "Lock her up." The same person he was chanting, "Lock her up," was the governor of Michigan. They were going to kidnap and kill less than a month ago.
That
and
is
he's still
true.
trying to lock her up. Like, Where's your semblance of humanity? Just because you disagree with her politically and you want to rile up your base, you telling people to lock her up?
Well,
I don't see it.
It's called projection, cuzzo. It's called projection. You know you a criminal. You know you're a con man. You know that if you get out of office, it's a good chance you might end up in jail. The first president to go to jail after their tenure because of all the crimes they committed. So he's gonna try to put it off on everybody else. Lock her up. Just like he tried to put off the super predators comment onto Joe Biden when someone else said it, and they have video of that person saying it.
Yeah, but
just like he tries to put being racist on other people, but he's done, said, and lived a really racist life his whole life. So I'm just saying,
platinum plan, the platinum plan. But I do got to give him credit though, in a sense, because he did meet with Ice Cube, and the Democrats like, man, later, let us win this election. So you can look at that two-prong, or you can look at that again twofold. You can look at it like, hey, he was gonna meet with me, whoop-de-whoop, whoop-de-whoop. He met with us, and he took that risk. Blase.
Not really a risk.
Or you can say, stunt. Might be, or you can say the Democrats, didn't do it. Or the Democrats were just focused on winning the election before they would meet with Ice Cube, because maybe they feel like they didn't want to meet with him because of that. But either way, I mean, like if you listen to last week's podcast, which you should, always follow us on YouTube at BS and Viewpoints, on Instagram, and several other streaming services. Always follow us. We're definitely a good like. But even last week, we're talking about the Ice Cube. It is a publicity stunt, but he stepped up to the table. He gave more than what the Democrats gave. So I have some people that I've talked to who, feel some type of way about that. They like,
but who does Ice Cube represent, though, honestly? Like, he's not a spokesman for anybody. He's a spokesman for himself and what he feels that black people need. He's not an actual spokesman for the black community. He's an ambassador of hip-hop, yes. He's a legend in hip-hop. He's a legend in the media in general. But he doesn't really speak for us, because no single black person could ever speak for us. I know they keep trying, artists keep trying, and some are good at it, some are bad at it. I'm not saying that he's either or.
He should take as a mentor to some, and as a mentor and a leader in the community, he should do what he's doing. I can't be mad at that man for trying. Maybe all of your viewpoints don't align with him, but who is all of your viewpoints ever aligned with? Not even Martin Luther King. All of his viewpoints, not Malcolm X, not Martin Luther King. For some people, not even Marcus Garvey. None of your, Angela Davis. None of your viewpoints will ever completely align with them. But you have to pull out something.
No, it's true. I'm saying, I'm not saying anything wrong with what Cube did. I'm just saying he is becoming an elder. He's becoming the leader of our next movement. But
to not try is to guarantee failure. He's trying, so you got to give a brother credit. And I thought his ideas was, hey, you got to stop looking at. I felt like I actually agreed with some of the stuff he did, because I'm like, hey, I'm looking at it like, hey, everybody just wants our vote, but nobody wants to give us anything. And what I mean by give us, they all want the black vote, but nobody wants to stand up for black people. What if anybody, this is the topic from last week, what if anybody done specifically just for black people? It's always been minorities, but black people. What if anybody done just for black people?
Exactly. And honestly, like I said, I've listened to the Ice Cube things, and I agree with a lot of the stuff he said, but but my point of view, what I'm saying about him not being able to speak for all black people is the same point of view that a lot of people have about a lot of other celebrities who try to speak for us. Like, I can agree with a lot of stuff that Ice Cube says, because he came from upper lower class family. He came from the hood. He's seen the stuff that most of us have seen. So yeah, I can agree with a lot of stuff he says, because I feel the same way. We're fucking pawns in most people's political agendas. Yeah. So yeah, but just because he's meeting with us now, why didn't he meet with us during the first thing? He just basically was like, yeah, F y'all, I'm going with the white supremacists on this shit. Just because someone meets with us, but all your actions say you don't like us, I'm sorry, I can't accept you even if you meet with us, because your actions for the last 3 years as president, your actions for the last 40 years as a realtor, as a person, private citizen, public figure, celebrity, all says that you feel like fuckers. unless we agree with you. So I commend Q for doing what he did, or basically what he was trying to do, because he's trying to get both parties to come to the table and try to give us an actual contract of stuff that they were willing to actually do for us, not just lip service. And I commend him for that. But these are all. But come on, the biggest liar one of the biggest liars in the country meet with you. He ain't gonna keep none of his promises. He doesn't keep promises to himself. He doesn't keep promises to his kids. He doesn't keep promises to his own base. Why would he promise us anything and actually keep the promise? Your actions speak louder than your words, and he can say all kinds of shit, but he's not gonna stick to it. He's never honored a contract in his whole business career that wasn't him enforcing it of a contract that on someone that wasn't better for him. Now, the businesses that he worked with, they had contracts with him. He decided, you know what? I'm not paying you. I'm giving you this much, and whatever you want, sue me for it. That's not the kind of person I'm trying to get into agreement with. That's just the business person's view of it. I'm just saying.
I can understand that, but he at least took the meeting. That's why I was disappointed with the Democratic Party, because we voted for them 88% clip for a long time, and it has been like we still haven't got anything done.
No.
We still haven't got anything done. Our neighborhoods are even more dilapidated now than what they were before, and there's regentrification. Look it up if you don't know what the word means. Pretty much, when it's a reason why in the central cities and most of these cities that the best places to build was in the neighborhoods that were run down and dilapidated, and now the wealthier people are coming back to it because it's usually closer to downtown in most major cities, and it's closer to their jobs, the high-paying jobs, and they rose up the property value. I've looked at places in Toledo that used to be dilapidated uptown, which is, right next to downtown for us. Uptown, right next to downtown, and places that, 10 years ago, the property you can get for maybe, $15,000, $20,000, and now it's probably worth quadruple that. It's probably worth $100,000, $200,000. Just some of those buildings were, old factories, and they turned them into high-rise condos.
Yeah.
And, it's coming, it's happening. But we haven't had our fair shake of the pie. 13.5% of the United States population. We'd be the 8th biggest economy in the world if we were separate, but we're not. But yet we don't have too much to show for it. Just because a few people make it out, you can name Tyler Perry, Oprah, Michael Jordan. You can name those people. Oh, they made it out. Yeah, but it's 43 million of us, and because 10 make it out, it's still 42.9 million of us. Still living in a place where we've been here 400 years and we're not treated free.
Yeah, but that's my thing about people like Cube and Snoop and Beyonce, Jay-Z, Oprah, all the people they said made it out. Y'all got this money. Y'all telling y'all want us to vote. But why not form a super PAC like all these other companies, businesses, and races have done? Y'all all got these millions and millions of dollars. Y'all can form a super PAC. Y'all put up first. Or y'all get us, we all chip in, then y'all match us. It doesn't matter how y'all want to do it, but why don't we form our own super PAC so we can buy the votes in Senate and the president just like everyone else does? Why can't we have a black lobbyist?
I'm completely for that idea. I was speaking on that. We should start a super PAC. It's a black conservative super PAC. I know some people who are a part of it, and we've had these talks, and they move it's a black professional conservative movement, super PAC, and they do their thing. And I want to say a lot of them are voting for Trump. Some of them don't like Trump, but they're more conservative, and since they're professionals, they're some of their first interests are on their finances. Not all of them, but some of them. And yeah, we should start that. And you should have a Beyonce or Oprah. It's crazy. We could spend $15. I mean, not anymore, but before the advent of iTunes, you would spend $15 and buy somebody's album, or $10, $12 and buy somebody's album. And yet you buy, an album every 2 weeks or album every week. And now you can't spend $5 a month on a black super PAC. That's all it would take. $5 a month on a black super PAC. You would be contributing $60 a year to have a really good black super PAC. And picture that, $60 a year. And let's say out of your 43 million black people, some could get more, some can get less, but we just average $60 a year, and you had 1 million people give. So you generated $60 million a year for a super PAC.
Yeah. That's what I've been saying. Like, if y'all want to do something, let's weaponize our money. Yeah, we can sit there and boycott, but come on, well, we ain't that unified to where we can actually boycott something. We're not that unified to where we can actually make a real movement work right now because we're all so separated because we all have families we gotta take care of. We're all worried about how we gonna eat. A lot of us is worried about how we gonna eat the next day. But we gotta get onto the concept of long term greed and get over the short term greed bullshit. Stop worrying about what we can do now. Like, oh my God, I gotta go do this, I gotta go do that, or I gotta look like this, I gotta look like that, and get onto some long term shit like everyone else did. That's how they built their communities, long term greed. That's how they build their super PACs, long term greed. That's how they get what they want to get, from churches, schools, to anything else. It's long term greed. They don't look at they kind of think about the short term, but no, a lot of this shit that they do has been built up over time. It's that long term greed. It's that long vision that we ain't got for some reason. Maybe because we think that, hey, we black in America, we ain't got that long to live. But y'all gotta remember, a lot of y'all grandparents and great grandparents lived to the 80s and 90s if they wasn't shot early. So I'm just saying, we do got a long time. We got to make it better for us so we can make it better for the people to come after us. It's our job. We becoming elders. We're next up.
Yeah, I completely agree. We should have a black super PAC, and we should do more in the community. This was part of my issues with, the whole, churches in the community, as far as them not, buying up the block, different groups, you have the Masons, the Eastern Stars, and, sororities and even fraternities. They're doing things. Some of them are doing things. I can't say that they're not doing anything. That would be wrong. But I'm just saying, I felt like in our community, it's we don't have enough. Even, it's funny, I see people got, certain streets or, whatnot tatted on them. I'm from here. I'm from such and such block. Your parent don't even own a house on that block yet. You repping it. It's tattooed on you. It's on you forever. Unless you get it removed. And this is what you repping, but you don't even own anything over there. You pay a landlord and he raises your rent. He or she raises your rent. And when it gets too high, you got to move. And that's just how it goes. So we are living in the now. You see a brand new car without a house.
Yeah.
You still paying rent. You don't have a mortgage. You paying rent. But you got a brand new car. So our priorities are messed up. We're not doing a good job of pulling our money together, but we can start.
Yeah, but you can't put your money together without trust. And we've been bred and taught and indoctrinated not to trust each other. And that's been our biggest problem as people. But also, I gotta say this, and this is an unpopular thought, but a lot of my friends who were in fraternities in college don't mess with a lot of the people no more. Why are we in fraternities that worship and idolize Greeks? The Greeks, their names, their traditions are all Greek. Got nothing to do with us, but somehow we pledging and putting all this energy into them, and they have nothing to do with us. They don't teach us none of our history, none of our traditions, none of our fellowship, our rights, nothing like that. None of our community building thoughts or anything like that from before we were slaves. None of that deals in any of that, considering, but we were the first ones to have these things. The Greeks took a lot of their stuff from us and altered it. But again, we're still following their lead. That just makes no sense.
So you're referring to the Divine Nine, as they call themselves? 5 fraternity, 4 sororities?
Yes.
Divine Nine?
I'm talking about any black fraternal society that follows the European thought, the European name, the European. Come on.
So how do you feel on Masonry then?
A lot of that started off in Africa. The way we look at it now is a little European, but a lot of it started in Africa. So I don't know. It's a toss up on that.
Okay.
But what have you seen the Black Masons do in the hood in the last 20, 30 years? I know a lot of Eastern Stars, a lot of Black Masons, but I don't see them out there building. I don't see them out there educating. I'm not talking about school teachers. I'm talking about after school programs for the young men so they know how to do just the basics of the stuff that a person might need to do around their house. Mm-hmm. The basics of fixing a car. Dude, there's guys out here who can't even change tires. Who got their chick changing tire because she know how because her dad showed her out.
It's crazy. I see, and the rudest thing, and I put this up on my Instagram, BS and Viewpoints, BS_and_ Viewpoints on Instagram. Follow us on YouTube. I put up this image. It was a guy in a car while this girl pumping gas, and it was like pretty much what the meme said is, this is the guy you picked over me. He's sitting in the car, she pumping gas. It's like, I know guys who don't even pump their girl gas, don't take out the trash, don't carry no groceries, don't open up the door for they ladies. And it's just like, what part of you is a man?
Yeah, I don't know, because I feel some kind of way if my wife takes out the trash.
Yeah.
I don't know, it makes me feel some kind of way. Like I feel like if another man sees my wife taking out trash, it reflects badly on me. It's not a sexist thing, but it's just certain things that you do around the house as a man that you're supposed to do.
Yeah, cut the grass. It's things you're supposed to do.
Pump the gas, cut the grass. If you're walking, you walk on the outside by the curb.
Yeah, exactly.
They walk on the inside. It's just certain things that the old generation taught some of us, and some of us never learned.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, people are like, why you hold the door open for that? I've opened up the door for so many ladies, and they'll be there with a dude. I'm not even hitting on them, just the way I was raised. I open up the door for a lady, and they do walk through first. And I've even told some dudes, like, bro, where they do that at? He's like, huh? I'm like, where they do that at? Like, I opened up the door for her. You just happened to be with her, so you was going to get the same treatment, but this really wasn't for you. This was for her. And it's just like, people lost their self-respect and decency. We can get in on the women's side, too. You know, women also lost their self-respect and decency. As far as I know, some girls, I'm so independent, I don't need nobody to do this. And we do it not because we know that you can't do it, but what we saying is, without you, there's no us, so we will do it.
Yeah.
Because you got to understand that level of how we think. Without you, there's no us, meaning without a woman, there's no men. So we doing this just to show you that we appreciate you for all that you've done, because without you, there's no us. Like, I was talking to this older lady, and then I held up the door for her. She was like, it's nice to see a young, nice man, hold the door open for me. And I told her, I said, without you, there's no us.
Yeah, but it's
really true. Without you, there's no us.
And without us, there's no you. So we all got to...
Yeah.
It's about a level of love and respect that you just have, not for someone that you're in love with, but just the love and respect that you have as a human being for the other half.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't have that anymore.
A lot of people don't. It is something. It's not even something you could truly like. I guess it's something you have to like learn. You got to see it. Like, maybe since they didn't grow up with that same appreciation, they didn't see it being their mom treated like that, then maybe they don't do it.
That is true.
I've seen a lot of stuff. Like, I don't understand how a lot of these, people, I have both parents in my house, my mother and father were married. But I don't understand how, some of these, we'll just use it. I've seen some of these guys be loose. And it's like, you seen how your mom struggle, but yet the girls you dealing with, you making struggle just like somebody made your mom struggle. You didn't learn, you just imitated. You didn't learn from it, you imitated what somebody did to your mom. And it's just, I find it to be sad.
Yeah.
It's just like, but it's a two-way street. I've seen some girls out here with hustle and grind talking about, I don't need a man for anything. And you don't. If that's the way you feel about life, you don't. But I'm just saying. And then you see them, it'd be nice to have a good man, but you've run the good man away. Yeah. Because you pretty much said it don't need him. In this country, this is the only country I know where you can get penalized for being in a relationship. Like, I've talked about this before. I had a cousin, she was like my auntie, and she had a boyfriend. They wanted to get married, but they were both like on disability. Their disability, if they got married, would have lowered if you got married. It's the same way, with housing. And both of us are married, and, our rent's going to go up drastically if we're married and make this amount than compared to us being single and him just shacking up with me.
Yeah.
So this is the only country that pushes, be completely independent. You don't need anybody for anything. This is the only country I know that pushes that, instead of having two people get together and focus on them and build. And that's why you get to a lot of people who are independent. Granted, some of the people that they dated, I'm not afraid to say it, ain't shit. There's been times, hey, I haven't been shit, but there's been times I've been shit to Tom. So it's part of life. It's part of the growth process. I've been shitting on. I've probably shitted on people. And that's how it goes. But it's the only country that pushes that you don't need anybody. Now, I'm not saying that I need somebody, but what I'm saying it's nice to have somebody.
True.
And they make it to the point where you don't need anything.
So you think you don't need anything until you need it,
Exactly. So, yeah. So let's get back to the topic. Political unrest. I was looking at this article, and I was looking at some people talking. They were saying the National Guard is on duty for after the presidential election because no matter which way it goes, 40% of the people not gonna be happy. Like 42% is not gonna be happy regardless, whether it's Democrat or Republican. And that it might be civil unrest. I know on the right wing, the conservatives have a lot of not a lot, but they do have militias, and people have been part of these militias. And people said if Donald Trump going to win, some people even stated race war. I'm just like, nah, I can't believe it's going to be a race war. But
that would turn into more of a class war than a race war, because those people who want to start a race war is going to have to fight family members who don't believe that they think the right way. It's going to end up being a class war, because it's going to be like the poor, black, white, Mexicans, Asians, everybody against these right wingers who feel like we should be separated on anything other than the actual issues.
Bring me to this little story. I'll share with you a tidbit. Then we get back to the topic. I remember one day, it was fairly recent, in the last maybe 6 months. Somebody told me to go back to Africa. He was white. Don't take no offense to this. I told him to go back to Europe. I said, you first. You go back to Europe. I mean, we can debate about this all day. Go back to Africa. Go back to Europe. I'll meet you there. Like, leave me alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like, Melania Trump's been here 30 years. She's more American than me, and my family been here 400 years.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
Yeah, but that's the way of the world.
Yeah. Well, that's not the way of the world. It's the way of this country.
Yeah, the way of this country. So people was like, so my family asked me and my friends asked me, who'd you vote for? I told them Donald Trump. They were shocked and upset. I really didn't vote for Donald Trump. I just wanted to get a good laugh out of it.
Yeah.
But, I told them why. Then I talked to my conservative friends, and they said, we knew you were going to vote. You're not going to vote for Donald Trump. I'm not afraid to say I voted for Biden and Kamala Harris. Lesser of two evils.
I voted for Joe Jorgensen.
I thought about both of them. I felt the burn for a long time. Not down there, ladies. I mean Bernie Sanders. But, I was just like completely like, I went with the lesser of two evils. I guess I went back to Old Faithful. They say sometimes you go to who you comfortable with. So I went what I was comfortable with, for the simple fact is I didn't believe this president, like you said earlier, would take anything seriously, even with talking to Ice Cube. It made me double take, which was good for me. But it made me double take. But I tell people all the time, the election is so much about the down ballot. And the down ballot means local and state politics. It really does. Because down ballot, the local and the state politics matters the most, in my opinion. Because, give me an example. The reason how Barrett was confirmed, Justice Barrett, is it was 53 to 47. It's 53 for the GOP, so 53 for the Republicans, 47 Democrats. Each state gets 2 senators, no matter how big the state is. California gets 2, Wyoming gets 2, New York gets 2, Alaska gets 2, Maine gets 2. It doesn't matter the size of your state, you get 2. And, Republicans control that, and they use that to their advantage. But a lot of people don't vote for like senators. Everything's big 4 years. And I'm like, everything should always be big. I'm part of the small minority, and I've noticed in just about every other country that voting is a national holiday. And I believe voting should be a national holiday where things should be closed. Voting should be a national holiday, and that's all you should have to do that day. Your job should pay you, but you should only have to vote. And if you already early voted, then just take that day home and watch elections or do whatever you want to do. But I believe that everything should be closed for elections.
Yeah, but if you did that, everyone would probably vote, and the people in power won't stay in power, and eventually they'd have to do away with this crappy 2-party system that we have, where we're not voting for the people who have our best interests in mind. We're just voting for the lesser of two evils all the time. It's never been one where we really voted for someone for the people who really, really was for us. Because last year, Jill Stein was the one who was talking the best for us. And anybody who voted for her basically voted for Trump.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever realize something, the third party candidate is always somebody who pushes towards the left so they can actually break up our vote. For that purpose, just to keep Republicans in office. And that goes for local, that goes for state and federal. A lot of times that independent is just there to split up the vote so that Republicans stay in power.
Yeah.
So we need to kind of get rid of this party system, because people would do dumb stuff for their party and even hurt themselves over it.
Yeah. Hopefully Lindsey Graham gets voted out of office.
I hope he does. Rand Paul.
Yeah. You know, that's how Bush lost to Clinton, the first Bush. Ross Perot ran.
Yeah.
And Ross Perot took votes from the right, from the Republican side. And it cost Bush. It cost him. He lost. And then Clinton ran in a landslide in 96.
But I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, have you ever seen a third independent right-winger on any ballot, any national ballot yet since?
Is Rand Paul?
No. Someone running for president. Have you ever seen?
No. Oh no.
The third person on the ballot, the third or fourth person on the ballot, actually be like a staunch out there with the money, with the backing to put themselves out there and be a Republican.
Whatever happened to the Tea Party? Because I thought they were going to go separate from the Democrats because they were supposed to be true fiscal conservatism.
You said Democrats, you mean Republicans.
I'm sorry, Republicans. Sorry about that.
They were kind of squashed. They were kind of squashed and did what weak people do. They kowtowed and bent over for the Republicans and hide back in with the GOP.
Yeah, because they were
with the grand old party.
They were talking about going and doing their own thing, and I thought they were, because they were supposed to be starch conservatism. And this is the hierarchy. You know, some people, GOP, the grand old party, the Republican Party, however you want to call it. They, part of their thinking is, they're pro-life, most of them, and they're they're for lesser taxes, they're for big business, they're for the economy, and they're religious. That's usually the three things that they are, and they're for the Second Amendment. That's usually, pretty much, that's other stuff involved, but for the most part, that's what they stand for. But one of the things is they're supposed to be fiscally conservative, but every time a Republican gets in office, the tax breaks always come from the rich. They'll give the poor a little bit just to, kind of appease you. I'm going to give you $50 extra. I'm going to give you $100 extra a month. So I'm going to give you $1,200 a year. But I'm going to give the big businesses a $150 million tax break. So they haven't been conservative at all. Yeah. They're not even conservative when they get in office. They talk about being conservative when the Democrats want to spend money. But when they get in office, they cut out a whole bunch of tax breaks and do this. I find it real interesting. I'm just calling them on their BS because this is our viewpoint.
Yeah, this is straight BS because they also give out a lot of huge-ass contracts to their relatives.
Mm-hmm.
But two, what business can keep their spending the same but constantly cut how much money they bring in and stay profitable? Every business person know you can't do that. I can't go pay my employees $30 an hour, but cut down on my products to only be bought at $1 a piece and still expect to stay profitable. But that's basically what our government does when they get the tax breaks. You cut all the people who got, they say 90% of the wealth is in the top 1%. So basically they're only taxing 10% of the wealth of this country and expect, while they spending like 4 times that?
Yeah.
4 times that 10% of wealth, but they expect to somehow stay profitable, stay in the black, not owe everybody. Eventually, America's going to be to the point, well, we're already to the point where the IMF is telling all the other world banks not to loan us any money if we've come up short.
I got a simple tax plan. Me and you talked about this. Actually, you coined this phrase. We're going to call this the Winston Harris tax plan. 35% flat rate for everybody. 35% federal. I'm for it. I seen it. Was it Denmark, Sweden?
Both those places.
35% flat tax rate. People like 35%. You taxing the people who are the poorest a little more. Let me explain what includes in this 35%. First of all, college, especially community college. Oh, that's free. That's
state
free.
College is free.
Yep. Public universities, state colleges, free. Healthcare, free. But you tax everybody 35%. And this is my kicker. The only thing that's not 35% for me, it might be different for you, is capital gains. It's currently at 15%. I cut it in the middle. 20, 15, and 35, 50. Divide that by 2, 25%. I'm going to raise capital gains up to 25%. But everything else is a flat 35%. And since the Supreme Court voted companies are people too, companies you pay 35% to. Everything. Exactly. Flat out. 30. You said Supreme Court voted companies are people too.
Yes.
So with that being said, everybody pays a flat 35%, but you don't have to worry about healthcare. Neither do businesses. Now you tell businesses, you ain't got to worry about healthcare no more. We got everything covered. We got all healthcare, and you give people the same plans that they have, because if you look at it and you break it down, most areas only have 3 plans that you can select from. No matter what job you work at, the company that owns that plan is only like 3 different companies.
Yeah.
So you say, hey, you have the choices between all these 3 different companies, because whatever you want to mess with, you can. And literally, I cut that out, because I cut out the spending. I say a 35% flat tax, and that covers federal, state, and local. The federal government gets 25% of that, 25 to 30% of that, somewhere around there. And then the rest of the percentage goes to the state and local.
I'm thinking 2010-5.
2010-5?
Yeah.
I believe 5 for a city is a lot.
A lot of these cities need a lot of money to fix their school systems, to fix their outdated infrastructure, to fix their water system.
Tell me about it, brother.
To fix most, especially in the Midwest, most cities are falling the fuck apart.
Yeah, you're right. 2010-5 does sound good.
I'm just saying, like, cities are falling apart right now, and guess what? Guess what happens when you got to fix, when you actually have the money to fix this shit? You create jobs, decent paying jobs. That aren't paying minimum fucking wage for someone who might have 2 kids.
So maybe we should go. You think we should go 22-5?
2010-5, yes.
Oh, okay, I like that. 2010-5. Let's go with that. But I'm completely in lockstep with that. And that's across. No matter what state you live in, you pay 2010-5. I mean, I don't know what a state like Alaska would do, because they give out state tax returns because of their oil reserves.
Yeah, but they making that money off the oil reserves.
Yeah.
So that's the difference.
Yeah.
They're a state that actually makes money. Mm-hmm. What state actually has any state-run businesses that actually make money?
Alaska. That's probably about it.
I'm saying name one. The federal government screwed the federal postal office so bad they no longer make money.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're trying to shut it down. But they're trying to shut it down over some shit that they put in it. That fucks them. But if they just took that one piece of legislation out, the post office would be profitable again.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have to raise the price of postage up over and over and over again. But hey, that's just what happens when
people run it.
When business people run it. When business people with conflicting interests run the country,
2010-5, maybe we should go 25-5-5. Get the federal government 25%, get the state 5%. But with all these different places coming from the state, they would get, or 22.5, 7.5, and 5.
That's fine.
Somewhere around there.
I'm just saying.
35%, and everybody know what they taxable on. And pretty much the insurance benefits you would get is the same as a senator. Now, if you want additional insurance or you feel like that's not better, then you have that bread, you have your own money. You can maybe buy you a smaller policy.
A supplemental policy.
A supplemental policy for things upon that nature. But at the end, when you make prescriptions cheaper, because at the end of the day, you go to the federal government goes to all these different companies like they would for a senator and say, this is what we're going to pay you for this product. But you're going to get way more if you think about it, because now all these people who have all these ailments who can't afford the medication, now we're going to pay you a percentage for them, so you're still going to make way more than what you're doing making now. We're just going to cut all the middlemen out.
Yeah. But then also in that, I would say they'd have to shut down the private prisons though too.
Oh, that was my next thing. That's also how we save money. This is the only country that I know where, if I give you an example, let's say it's a jail. Let's say it's in Ohio. We live in Ohio. There's a jail in Ohio. The maximum prison capacity is 5,000 people, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they only got 2,500 in there, they still got to pay like they got 5,000 prisoners in there. Yeah. They have to pay a private corporation. If they only got 500 prisoners in there, they got to pay like they have 5,000, meaning you would be paying 10 times the amount. You got to cut out prisons for profit. And that's why people are getting strung up and forced to go to jail for small, petty crimes that they shouldn't be going to jail for. People make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. If you got money, that problem goes away if you make a little mistake. You get caught with a little bit of weed or something like that, which in my opinion should be legal. Or you get caught with a little drugs. Let's say you're in your experimental phase. If you don't have any money, you probably have a felony, and your life as you know it might be over. It's harder to vote. Some states you can't vote. You can never get, it's harder to get school funding. It's harder to get housing. It's harder to take care of any programs. It's harder to utilize any programs because once you're a felon, you're limited in what you can do. You're not completely limited. I've seen felons, become chefs, truck drivers, go to school and become a plethora of different things. You still have options, but what I'm saying is it makes it a lot harder. But let's say if you had money and you got caught with that same amount of drugs, it would probably be a misdemeanor charge where you would go to some type of therapy and it would be thrown out of court.
Yeah.
That's the money factor in this country.
But you also got to remember another thing that happens. They might send you to jail for a 30-day offense. But the CEO can be like, you know what? You looked at me funny. I had another 40 days to your sentence.
Yeah.
And they will do that. There are people who have been in jail like that who are only supposed to be in there for 90 days who've been in for 5 years behind stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or they be in jail. Someone don't like them. They jump on them. That person's already in jail for a few years. So instead of just, letting you get treated and stuff, or they punish you too, even though you were just trying to defend yourself.
Yeah. They call it assault and tax some more prisons, stack some more things to your crime, stack some more charges to you. And then you
add time.
And add time to you.
And that's foul.
Yeah, and it's foul. You got prisons for profit is one of the worst things. It's another way that corporate greed has crept into America.
Yeah, but it's also a part of slavery too, though, because there are judges. They've caught a few. There are judges, lawyers, DAs, and public defenders who are selling these people who go into the system to the prisons. They're getting paid to convict these people.
Yeah.
Not that nobody has anything against these people. No, they just know that these people don't have the money to make bail.
Yeah.
These people don't have the money to hire a good lawyer. So these people are the ones that we want to make sure stay in because there's going to be no repercussions on us because they don't have the money to fight it.
Yep. Look at Khalif Browder, who ended up taking his life. But that whole story, Jay-Z, big ups to him for putting that out, about how that man was accused of a crime he didn't do. He would never plead guilty. And he spent a long time in jail because he didn't have the money to get out. He spent, was it years?
Yeah, it was years.
He spent years in jail waiting. Then they finally let him out. But then at that point, he had been in so many fights, so many things happened to him that he literally had PTSD. But that's how you would be if you were a young man or a kid. He's a young man who was in 18, 19 in jail, wasn't no thug, so he didn't run. He
wasn't 18 or 19.
How old was he?
He was like 16 when they put him. He was like 16, 17 when they put him in
that's
prison with grown men.
They put him in prison with grown men. He's getting attacked all the time, and he wasn't cut from that cloth.
Yeah, but even if you are at 16, it's a lot. You ain't gonna be able to, put up a fight against someone who's been in jail 10 years and is in their mid-20s.
Yeah.
That man's going to have a lot more size on you, more power on you. My thing is this, but they do that for black kids. They want to charge black kids or kids of color
as an adult.
At
like 14, 15.
But you seen this with the dude who raped the girl, or was the swimmer?
Yeah, swimmer raped a girl.
I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
But he raped the girl, got caught in the middle of raping the girl, went to jail for 6 months, got out after 3.
Yeah.
But the whole time they talked about him, they didn't say this young man. They said this boy. Yeah. They tried to portray him as a boy.
Yeah.
When there was a guy, a player that went to Purdue, who did the same thing, a black man, he was about 19 when he did it. They never portrayed him as a boy. They portrayed him as a man. He got 26 years. I'm not saying either one of them was right, but I felt like both of them should have did a hard time.
Brock Turner was a student at Stanford who raped and assaulted an unconscious female student behind a dumpster at a fraternity party, and he was not given that much time.
I'm saying, but he was caught, though.
He was caught.
In the act of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying. I'm not saying like what they did was right. No, because honestly, I feel like that act alone is actually an act of murder because that person that you just raped is no longer going to be the person they was. They're no longer going to feel safe in their own skin. I've known a lot of women that's happened to, and honestly, I know they say boys make mistakes, but that's not a mistake. That's an actual intent, an active intention to violently rape somebody, and I feel like that should be treated as an actual murder, at least. And I that's the way I feel. I feel like it should be treated as murder, honestly, because you murdered the innocence of that person.
You did, but yeah, he did. He was sentenced 6 months with 3 years of probation, and he only did 3 months, and he was out. And meanwhile, Khalifa Browder, who was innocent the whole time, spent years in jail.
What's the guy who just finally got let out after 36 years for stealing a pair of hedge clippers?
Who?
Yeah, it was a guy, I think it was New Orleans, just got out of jail, but he spent like 30 years in the jail for stealing a pair of hedge clippers.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just saying, like, this dude got 6 months. And there's another story of a guy who had money who raped like a 5-year-old and got like probation. But this guy stole hedge clippers and got 30 some odd years.
Yeah, Khalifa Browder did. He spent 3 years in jail for something he didn't do. He just had a buddy. Meanwhile, Brock Turner, who got caught raping the girl, did 3 months for rape. Khalifa Browder just didn't have any buddy and did 3 years. See how justice is mislanted?
Yeah, the justice system ain't right, but
man, it's tough.
But like putting people like Amy Cohen Barrett or whatever her name is, and to a position like she's gotten, it's gonna keep pushing that bar that same direction. It's not going to change anything. Having these old people in power in the Senate ain't going to change anything because they were raised with these values, these thoughts. We need to get rid of, honestly, a lot of people on both sides of the aisle. These people who's been here for 30, 40 years.
We need to step up as a generation, because the only way we can help our kids, which a lot of y'all who are in your 30s now, 40s, you have kids. If not, you got nieces and nephews. Pretty much you know kids. So if you want to help them out and you want to help yourself out, maybe you want to be 70 or 80. You need to start putting a plan in action now. You don't need to wait. We need to start up a super PAC. I honestly think we should do it.
Okay, we should.
I think we should start up a super PAC ourselves. And
let's do it.
And, just do it. I just feel like we just need to do it, and we need to hold people accountable. All across the country, start up a super PAC and just hold people accountable.
Because all I'm saying is this. If we're supposed to be leading next, these people who are trying to hold on to this power for 30 years ain't training nobody underneath them to come up and actually have free thought. They're training them to think like them. All their pages, all their assistants, they're training them to think like them. So guess what's going to happen? We're going to get new senators who think like these people that's in power now.
Yeah.
We need to change the whole way they think before we end up back in the 50s, then we're going to be back in the 40s, then we're going to be back in the 1800s. Come on, they're going against science, which science, yeah, sometimes is wrong. Yeah, because you know what happens with science? You get new information. And once you get this new information, things change.
Donald Trump going to take that excerpt of this clip and say science is wrong, and that's his whole premise on why he does what he do. You see what he did yesterday?
No, but there's a statement that says science is a liar sometimes.
Yeah,
and it is true.
It is.
Science is a liar sometimes.
Yes, science is a liar sometimes. Very, very true. I will never say that's not true. But let's before we delve into that, see what he did yesterday? He had this thing in Omaha, which is in Nebraska, which Omaha is currently bad weather. And he had his thing, flew away Air Force One, did his town hall, did his woo-ha, did his little speech, so to speak, and then guess what? He leaves, and the buses that's supposed to come pick him up due to the inclement weather can't come get him. So people who's out there watching him stuck out there for a few extra hours. And in Nebraska right now, it's 0. Cold, ice, snow on the ground. So he just left him out there. Deuces, I gotta go.
I ain't gonna be cold, but you might be.
Super spreader. He had so many super. And if you ever look at it, with COVID, every place he's been after he's left, they've had a spike in COVID cases because he has these super spreader events. You got people next to each other like we was, like we was 10 years ago at concerts. You can't do that right now.
Yeah,
he got them next to each other. I mean, next to next. He got you that close. That's how close you are. That is a, you know, at the end of the day, that's, you can't live like that. We shouldn't be living like that. But he's doing it. People believe in him. Some people said they'll die for him. After seeing all the people show up, they would die for him. I give him credit.
Yeah, that's the scary part, though.
Yeah,
those people who will die for him will kill for him.
Yeah,
he won't kill or die for you. He don't care about you, but you care that much about him. You care more about him than you do your own family, than your own loved ones, than the people that either you raised or raised you. Those people that, yeah, you might not like all the time, but you know they got your back when you need it.
Yeah.
But you care more about this dude who don't even care about his own family most of the time.
I mean,
I'm just saying. These people are amazing 45. To me. Screw 45. I'm talking about his supporters. They're amazing to me. Like, how can you care about somebody so much when you've never really sat down and like talked to them? You've never dealt with this person, but you care about them so much that you're willing to wish your life for them. You're willing to wish your family for them.
I'm about to get in trouble now. Jesus.
But that's different. They at least had a couple thousand years to brainwash people. This dude had 2 years. How do you get that brainwashed in fucking 2 years?
I'm about to get in trouble when I said that. Hey, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Come on, but they've been selling Jesus for what, 2,000 years. They've been selling Trump for what, 5 now?
6, 7. Nobody even thought Trump would win. Until he started winning.
But that was the problem. That was a huge problem with that
Never
election.
underestimate your opponent.
Everybody thought he wasn't going to win, so people was like, hey, I'm not going to vote. People thought like, hey, my vote for Jim Stein wouldn't matter. It did. Because even though he didn't win the election, it was so close that they was able to steal it.
That brings me to something else. Because we've been talking about everything. Before we close it off, we got a few more minutes left. And it's time to get out of here. I'm completely against the Electoral College. I looked at 2 of the last 6 presidential elections. Bush, the second Bush, lost to Al Gore. He won it, but he lost popular vote to Al Gore. He did win popular vote the second time. Cool with that. Obama won popular vote both times. And then Donald Trump lost popular vote to Hillary Clinton. So out of the last 5 elections, 2 of them, the person who won just had the Electoral College and didn't even have the popular vote. I just believe we need to completely get rid of that archaic ass, old ass, white business owner system, because that's what it was created for. Rich white men is what Electoral College was created for.
The reason for it was what?
Slavery, to control us because we're actually a bigger population.
No, it's because, well, their biggest thing was, hey, we can't trust the common man to choose what's right for themselves. That was the founding fathers. They thought the American public was too stupid to actually vote for their rulers. That's where it all came from for the most part. Yeah, people try to say, oh no, it's because of slavery. No, because it didn't matter, because the way it was set up at first,
we're 3/5 of a vote.
We were 3/5 of a vote, but we weren't allowed to vote. Our masters made the vote for us, so yes, they was going to win because they got. If they had, let's say they had 50 slaves, they basically got 10 votes plus their own. That's all I'm saying. Like, it didn't matter either way when it came to slavery who voted, because the slave master was the one who decided what the slaves voted for. But no, it was because they felt like the people who didn't have slaves and didn't have land might vote for actual people who know something about, building shit and, spreading the wealth and, maybe helping other people out. Doing some humane shit, some human shit.
So you mean the people who were back then who enslaved us, because we're not slaves, we were enslaved people. The people who enslaved us didn't give a fuck about us?
They didn't give a fuck about their own countrymen if they didn't have money. You gotta remember, they tried to enslave white people first, it just didn't work.
No, you know what happened when they tried to enslave white people? The weirdest thing ever happened. It was a revolt. You know why? Because the white and black people revolted against master. Yes. So they had to make white people feel better. You can Google this if you think I'm joking. It was a revolt, and what they did was at that point, They kept white people considered as indentured servants, but only a servitude for 5 to 7 years was all you were required to do. And they kept us enslaved for a lifetime until white people who reported that time, well, hey, you're still better than them.
Yeah, that was the whole thing, was to separate because
we had united in the beginnings in the 1600s, and we decided, nah, fuck that. We all got to go.
Yeah.
We all going to take over. Nah, fuck that. And they said, no. We got to find a way to make white people feel that they're above black people, even if they're poor white people.
Well, yes, because even at that time, some poor white people could read and write. They would teach the slaves to read and write. Mm-hmm. And you can't control someone who has knowledge of what's going on in the situation. And that was the problem. They had to separate us because it's naturally that when you're stuck in a situation with somebody, good or bad, when you're stuck in a situation with somebody, that person next to you, eventually, the way y'all look is not going to matter. It's going to be because y'all in the same situation. Y'all going to end up becoming friends. Mm-hmm. Y'all going to end up not mind dealing with each other. They're going to like each other. Mm-hmm. So they had to change that, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they did away with that and kept us to be enslaved people. And made them indentured servants, which they would get, was 5 to 7 years, and then they would be free. And then they would, at that point, they can go off and get their own land, and then they could own slaves in turn.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. Any last words before we get out of here, brother?
Joe Jorgensen for the win. Man, y'all have a good week. This is Winston from BS and Viewpoints. My man, Cuddy Coastal.
BS and Viewpoints. Definitely follow us on. We're everywhere. Follow us and subscribe definitely to us on YouTube. We on Instagram. We taking over Twitter.
OnlyFans coming soon.
Yeah, OnlyFans we coming soon. We gonna be everywhere. Facebook, there's a page happening soon. So yeah, definitely follow us and subscribe on YouTube.
We're gonna be on Twitch too. No.
TikTok, hey, get it how we live it. 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 Hey. This is BS and Viewpoints. I'm Cuddy Coastal. This is Winston Harris. We out of here. Deuces.
Have a good night.
Oh, this is actually a sign for peace, not this. This is probably a gang sign. This is actually a sign for peace.